Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 4, and today we're taking a look at the 2006 Koenigsegg CCX. Now this was produced between 2006 and 2010, with only 30 being made, and yeah, it's a successor to the CCR, and in basic terms it is a revised version of that CCR to be a more global car with the US market in particular in mind. As a result, despite the fact it shares the same wheelbase as the CCR, it is longer, wider and taller, meaning it has a dry weight increase of 220 pounds over the CCR, but it does also mean it's more practical and it's more user friendly, and yeah, more people can obviously use it because it is taller and wider. So yeah, it does have that going for it. Also to be a more global car, especially like I said in the US, it features an in-house built engine, the first Koenigsegg has ever made for one of their cars, to replace the Ford modular V8, so it can run on 91 octane gasoline and meet emissions standards in California. So yeah, that's basically what this is. Slightly heavier, but a slightly more usable car from the predecessor. That said, despite the fact that it has an entirely new engine, it's still producing the same amount of horsepower as that previous engine. So yeah, and that's despite the fact that it's also the same size at 4.7 litres. Also has twin supercharging from a V8 engine. So yeah, still produces 806 horsepower and 678 pounds-feet of torque, just like before. So yeah, no extra power, but no less either, despite the fact it's got to deal with different fuel and different emission standards, which is a pretty good mark on Koenigsegg's standards and quality, really, that they're able to build an entirely new engine, and despite having to deal with different aspects, still get the same horsepower and torque as before. Now granted, it does, like I say, way more than the previous car, but it's also had new suspension, new brakes, it's got more downforce from the rear with that rear wing there, and yeah, it's a generally brilliant car to drive. And yeah, obviously we don't have the CCR to compare against, but even in comparison to the CCAS, which again it's heavier than but also has way more power, it's far better. So yeah, this is truly one of Koenigsegg's finest vehicles. No boot though, as you can see. Even though you can open the car, it's really just to get to any of the suspension components that are underneath there. And yeah, in general, when you strip this car away, there really is not very much in terms of bodywork there, which means that even though it does weigh more than the CCR, it still only weighs 2,937 pounds. So yeah, more than 800 horsepower and weighing less than 3,000 pounds is still fairly formidable, and yeah, certainly helps it in terms of performance. And just like the previous car, you can take the roof out, though can't do it on this game. So yeah, it does have that going for it as well. It still has the crazy doors as well, as you can see, which yeah, not even the likes of Lamborghini ever do. And yeah, the interior is also pretty decent as well. Nice and simple, but everything that you need is there, though nothing too distracting considering you got all that power and torque to deal with. So yeah, let's nonetheless get out onto the open road and see just what it can do. So even though it doesn't have the biggest of V8s out there, with those two superchargers it more than makes up for the lack of cubic capacity. And yeah, it's frightfully twitchy lower end speeds, but the faster you go, the better handling this car gets, purely because of those aerodynamics and the downforce. So yeah, handles better the faster you go, which is more than a good enough reason to put your foot down, really, because yeah, this car absolutely flies when you've got the talent and the enough room to do so. Yeah, it sounds pretty good as well with those two superchargers sucking in all that fuel, and yeah, the engine itself making a fairly decent noise as well. And yeah, all of which results in a 0 to 60 time of 3.9 seconds, 0 to 106.8 seconds, and it will go into a top speed of 241 miles an hour, which is still fairly impressive today. Granted, those acceleration times aren't the best, but then again, this is a car, from 2006, and it's still only rear-wheel drive, and it's dealing with all that horsepower, which is more than several other, supercars, hypercars that are even from today, like the McLaren Senna and a Lamborghini Aventador. So yeah, a lot of power for a car from 2006, and yeah, it's still a lot of power even by today's standards. And yeah, on the whole, it's a really rather fun car to drive. It's ballistic in a straight line, but unlike the likes of a Rimac C2, it's also able to handle the corners as well. So yeah, you can have fun with this no matter what. Even in these wintry conditions at night time, you can have a lot of fun with it. So yeah, it's a cracking vehicle, and I'm really glad it's on the game, because yeah, the only old Koenigsegg we've had so far is the CC8S, which, even though I do like that car, it's nowhere near as powerful as this. And yeah, unfortunately on this game the car doesn't have the actual horsepower and torque figures that it has in real life, so I'm not even sure if it's as fast as it would be in real life or as it is on this game. So yeah, it's great to have this car on the game, and yeah, hope we can get more from Koenigsegg, because they have, yeah, even though they've not been around as long as the likes of Lamborghini, they've still, you know, put out several fairly formidable cars. So yeah, really glad it's on the game. You can only get this via the festival playlist. It's got about 6 days from this video's release left on the festival playlist, so if you want this car, get out there and get it. You only have to get 50% of the playlist done, which isn't too much, to be honest, to get this car. And yeah, it's well worth the effort, quite frankly, because yeah, hugely fast, lots of power and torque, not much in the way of weight, handles really well, and yeah, got a great top speed as well if you're into that kind of thing. I'm not personally bothered about the top speed being so high. I would still like it even if it was only 200 mile an hour top speed, but even so, still really formidable vehicle, and yeah, more than deserves a place on this game. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.